Dr. Evelyn Hemphill is a distinguished humanitarian and advocate whose life mission centers on empowering survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. A two-time survivor of domestic violence, Hemphill endured over 15 years of abuse and navigated a protracted 14-year legal battle with the South Carolina family court system. Her personal journey, marked by the loss of her child's custody and over $100,000 in legal fees, galvanized her commitment to advocacy. Through Evelyn The Advocate, she provides trauma informed resources, legal guidance, and motivational support to individuals enduring similar challenges. Evelyn, welcome to Triumph Talks. I am so excited to have you on the show. I really enjoyed working with you and getting to know you. You are just a light and you're energetic. So thank you for coming on the show.
Melanie, I haven't met you in person, but I am so honored and so grateful that we crossed paths.
Me too. Me too. You have an important book, an important life that, well, let's just dive into it. I want to give you the chance to really share what you're all about. And so I'm going to ask the first question, and that is what inspired you to write this book?
I know that there are many more people like me out there that experience domestic violence and injustice that have been silenced.
Well, that answer is actually the perfect segue into my second question. So let's dive deep. And that is what do you hope that people would take from reading your book?
I hope that people will realize just because they have experienced terrible things like domestic violence and different types of abuse that they can become an overcomer,
Mm,
just as I did.
yeah. You know, one of the things that I say often is that you have to believe something is possible in order to do it, in order to achieve it. And I think that's especially true when it comes to overcoming. Um, when you're someone who's overcome and step up in the role that you are as an advocate, and you're showing people through your memoir what happened to you and where you are today because you're very strong and very powerful, and this is an incredible book. In fact, your book is was a top new release, number one in multiple categories on Amazon, so congratulations. You really are the evidence that I think some people who are really stuck where you were years ago, that what they need to believe that they can get through it. It's it's an epidemic, no doubt. Our family courts are money-making machines, and I think that anyone who's been through family court, most of them know that, and so there's not a small amount of people who need your book in your example. There's a very large amount, and they're very silenced. But thanks to you and your book, and your podcast or your YouTube channel, I know that you are truly the change maker that you were intended to be. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to grab your book. As you see, I have it on my bookshelf.
All right. Thank you.
And and so what I would like to do is just share some of the things that I took from reading your book. I'd like to read some of the excerpts. And
Okay.
then, as I do, if you'd like to expound on anything that I've chosen and just talk more about it, I think it's a nice way to give us a little bit of an idea of what your book contains. And it shows just how strong it is. So, but first, let me put on my glasses. I need them. All right. So, the first excerpt that I've chosen is actually the first paragraph of your preface. So, I think this is a great place to start. It says, for those who know me, I typically move in silence. It is not easy for me to share all I've been through. For this reason, I am often misunderstood. Within the past few years, I have met people and encountered circumstances that have pushed me to share my experiences of domestic violence and injustice. In these moments, I've come to realize that my experiences were for a reason much bigger than myself. That is a strong start right there.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I'd like maybe you could talk a little bit about you come across so confident and articulate. You know, you really are in a good place as far as um, your stability, right? You know, I know you went through a lot and you went through health problems, as everybody does who's been traumatized. But you're doing so great. But in here, you talk about how it's actually not been easy for you to open up. So I'd love you to just kind of share a little bit about that journey, if you will, of going from feeling silenced to becoming a big voice for helping people.
I just feel like I had to open up because this battle that I was involved in, a lot of times I felt like it was possible for it to take my life. It was that serious.
Yeah,
It had such a negative impact on my well-being. I didn't have a choice but to talk about it. I had to expose it because I was thinking, if this is happening to me, I know it's happening to other people
yeah,
that cannot talk about it. And number one, I would like to say my faith. I have faith. My faith is strong in God.
yeah,
And the way I got through this is I had to surrender everything to Almighty God because I couldn't have done this as a human. The story, the memoir, I didn't have the human strength to get through it. It's God's grace, mercy, and power that got me through this horrific situation.
yeah. And that is a powerful and important truth that that you really represent both through your story and the way that you live. I know I've just loved getting to know you because you are a light and you send energy out. I really look forward to seeing you flourish with all the plans that you have because I know that just the energy of positivity and the amount of faith that you have is just incredible. And people will really appreciate that when they come to know your story and what you've been through. Um, Let me jump to another excerpt that I'd like to read you. And I'll mention for all those that are watching, Alan does not know what I've chosen. You aren't prepped for what I'm about to read. So this is all very spontaneous in the moment. So, um, okay. So this is from chapter 4, which is titled Toxicity and Abuse. And it says, I got pregnant while in the 10th grade and decided to quit school. Even after my first footstool smacked me so hard that my nose started to bleed, I was completely naive to the fact that I was in an abusive relationship. I believed that I was in a state of shock, especially when considering that I was only 15 years old. Ugh. And no one had ever talked to me about intimate partner violence, IPV, also known as domestic violence. IPV includes physical, sexual, and psychological abuse with a romantic relationship. It's important to note that statistics show that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence at some point. Not only that, but it is also the leading cause of injury to women. I had to pick this paragraph, honestly, because it's just packed with what you have to teach from sharing your experience as a 15-year-old getting pregnant, being abused, to the just exposure of how common this is. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about that time in your life?
I do. I met my first footstool at the age of 15, but
Explain
then
what you mean by the term footstool too. I love this term. Yeah.
it's just a name that I've given my 2 abusers that I talked about in the book, and I described them as footstools because I'm using everything that they done to me to stand on, to elevate me, to help other people. So that's my definition of them being a footstool.
I love that. You're gonna one day that will be coined, but it will have originated with you. And this is the evidence and the book. So
But a friend of mine, they did I was talking to them one time, and I didn't know what to call them, and they said that word, so that's what they are in my
wow.
eyes.
It's such a good term. I think that I could see that becoming a term that's used when we talk about those horrible things that happen to us.
Yes,
Just calm
rather
footstools.
than to say a real bad name.
Yeah. 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 Because it'd be tempting to, you know, use another name. Man, and just being abused so young and not knowing that you were dealing with abuse. I think that's a really important point that you make in that excerpt as well. That that's so true that very often women don't understand what's happening to them.
Mm-mm.
It takes a long time.
It really does. But I
Yeah,
met them when I was 15, at the end of my time of being 15, and I got pregnant when I was 16 and had a child when I was 16. So I had no idea that I was in a abusive relationship
you were a child
because
yourself.
I did not know. And these are the reason why I became public with my story is we need to have these conversations for young females as well as males so they can know just if they are being abusive or in an abusive relationship, they need to know what this stuff is called. They need to be educated so we can bring down these national and global numbers down of domestic violence.
Yeah, and it's serious. So another chapter you have titled "Trials and Tribulations." This is shifting now from you touch your book touches on domestic violence. Your tagline is lessons. I love that word, lessons from my journey through domestic violence and family court. So now I'm actually going to read an excerpt that begins to introduce the trauma that you experienced through the family court process, as well as the abuse that you had from the domestic violence. The Chester County Family Court System assigned several guardian ad litems on my child's behalf. A guardian ad litem is a lawyer or non lawyer representative appointed by the court to act on behalf of another who is incapable of representing themselves. Their job is to conduct investigations into matters that may not be brought before the court by representing attorneys. The first guardian ad litem was an attorney. I informed her of the sexual abuse and the 12 years of domestic violence that I endured during the marriage. This information was ignored. The guardian ad litem never stepped a foot in my apartment during the quote investigation. According to the invoice the guardian ad litem submitted to the court, she interviewed at least 10 witnesses on my ex husband's behalf. The only person she interviewed on my behalf was me. She never contacted any of my witnesses. For services rendered, or the lack thereof, in my opinion, I was ordered to pay her $1,369. All the while, my second footstool, my abuser, maintained temporary custody of our child. I recall how sick and depressed I felt because I did not know what was going to happen to my child, as if the emotional, sexual, and financial abuse within our marriage weren't enough. He was practically allowed to abuse me legally through the court during our separation and after the divorce. And that he did. There's a lot in that paragraph, too, that
It
really
happened for many
hits.
years. It's like the court didn't care and they were encouraging contact with my second abuser. They
Hmm.
were recommending that I stay in contact with my second abuser because I wasn't going to walk away from my child. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. And the court didn't make it easy either. So, had my second abuser wanted to, or unalive me, he had every opportunity to do so.
Yeah. And they facilitated those
They
opportunities.
the court facilitated
Yeah.
him. Yes, they did. And I know many women. I've seen many stories and heard of many stories. They have the same story as I do.
Yeah. You're not uncommon. I mean, it's horrible and it's not uncommon. I know your story is also a part of a book series by Marianne Petrie titled Raised by These Wolves. And you have a chapter in there and she is collecting stories from people like you. And this you're in her third volume. I'm just gonna mention that because um it's a collection of evidence that just shows how widespread and how embedded corruption is in our family courts. Your story is so important for that. But, I'm going to read some more along those lines, but I do want to point out that what your memoir does is it shows all the hardships that you've been through, which, some of the worst things is this high rate of domestic violence. And then after enduring that abuse, then the courts abused you. And but we're going to get to where you are today and the strength that you have because for anyone going through any adversity, I mean, those who are going through the kind you went through, this is going to be, I love this picture of you, by the way.
Thank you.
It's so gorgeous. But just to see someone go through what you've been through and come out so strong, that's an example we all need, regardless of what our adversity is. I just want to point that out.
In an abusive situations, you may develop a psychological situation called Stockholm syndrome, where you
Hmm.
kind of protect your abuser. If someone tries to bring it to your attention, I know I suffer from that a lot of times. A lot of my family members were not familiar with the extent of abuse that I experienced. Because when you're in a situation like that, I was taught, don't say anything. And it's kind of part of your culture. But we need to break that stigma. We need to say something if
Yes.
that is what's happening, if that's what we're enduring. We need to tell somebody because it can cost you your life. Many of my family members didn't know what I experienced because I chose really not to tell them.
Hmm. Yeah. And that makes it hard too, because then you are, you talk about people feeling silenced. Well, when no one knows, sometimes if you come out and talk about it, they don't believe you.
They don't.
And that silences you because who wants to fight? You're already in a fight. Who wants to have to fight just to be believed? Sometimes it's just easier to stay below the fray of of trying to convince others of what's happened to you. And
But
when you've been
society,
manipulated to not say anything, and usually
manipulation,
the
you're
the
right.
abusers will appear to be
They're innocent.
they'll
They
they'll
will
appear to
appear
be
to
the
be
stable
innocent.
one, and you having been traumatized appear like the crazy one. So then they gaslight you into thinking that you're the problem and everyone else into thinking you're the problem. And that's a difficult position to be in. And that's why stories like yours are so important because we need to be able to see what's really happening. And I think it'll get a lot easier to spot when that's happening, when it's something that we're actually versed in versus it
Yes.
having something that's buried.
I'm honored that we're having this
Yeah,
conversation because I'm pretty
it's
sure it's
important.
gonna help someone
Yeah.
to
Oh, no doubt.
recognize what's happening.
All right, I want to read another excerpt from your book that just kind of continues to show the things that you've been through. Well, on the witness stand, I testified that for many years after we got married, my ex-husband was never around, claiming to be going to work. I shared how he would be deceitful and condescending about simple things. I also made it known that I paid for legal representation and received none. I informed the court about the acts of corruption and fraud that were orchestrated during the case. None of that mattered. The court ordered a 70-30 split in favor of my abusive second footstool. He was granted most of the equity in the marital home. He was allowed to keep his 401k and his pension. I was granted my 401k, which at the time had a value of $2,764, which I exhausted paying legal fees that led to no justice. I was ordered to pay $7,500 of his legal fees, in addition to the $1,369 mentioned earlier, towards the fee for the first guardian ad litem. Then there was my second attorney's bill of $4,500 that I had to pay for nothing. I was, however, granted a small portion of the equitable distribution. I recovered only $15,374 after spending 12 whole years of my life in an abusive marriage. Okay, talk to us about the costs of this process. I know we're seeing how much they charge you. It was bigger than that in the end, I know. And
Much bigger. I was working for the state of South Carolina for many years. What I have gathered, the bill is over $100,000, and there is no way for me to collect any of that money back, according to
for
the
what?
state of South
And
Carolina.
what did you get for that? I mean,
I got nothing,
nothing. And no representation by these lawyers who charge so much.
no representation.
Well, and again, this is common. This is not an anomaly. This is not a strange situation that you just happen to have this happen to you. There's so many people who, I think one of the things that really needs to get out there is, at all possible, stay out of family court. It is a money making, laundering, child trafficking
Yes,
institution
it is.
designed to do those very things on purpose. And the evidence is widespread, but it's been buried. So that's why your story is so important. All right, I want to read another excerpt. I've lived a very difficult life. I believe that through my life experiences, I am being used as one of God's vessels to guide his children out of darkness. Over the years, the world has changed, and people seem to care more about their own gain. We are all blessed with different gifts from God, and it's important to stay positive and tap into those gifts. I've learned that your environment can significantly influence your success despite life's challenges. When I talk to people about life's challenges, I encourage them by saying, mind over matter. In other words, use your mind to overcome obstacles in life. Don't allow those challenges to define your ability to succeed. This this is you. I love this paragraph, and there's so much more, but this really is what you have done. And I think it's hard sometimes for people to get that mind over matter. How did you do that? And were you that way the whole time? Is it something you've achieved over time?
I believe that I was born that way, to be honest with you, because I have a sibling that I'm only 9 months older than them, and I had to become very independent at a young age,
Mhm.
and I was just in school, I was competitive, I was smart, and I just really tried to keep those things with me throughout my life.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's sort of like it was I would say a gift from God, a talent. He gives us all talents, like you say, right here. He gives us talents and gifts. You have lived a very difficult life. We didn't really read a lot of excerpts from the earlier part of your book where your childhood is shared. You've been resilient your whole life, and you've faced some very difficult things. I know that you talk a lot about God's plan, that this is what you were supposed to do. You say here, I'm a vessel to lead people to light. And I think that really is an empowering confidence that you carry, knowing why you've gone through it and what it's for. I think sometimes until we come to know what, maybe not the why, but the what, we go through things. And you are guiding people. I really believe it. I know that you have talked about wanting to start doing some speaking, and you're beginning a YouTube channel. Would you like to just talk a little bit about your kind of what your goals are as you take this understanding of what you've been through and why, and how you're want to reach people and how they can connect with you as well.
Right now, I work in the medical field. I really enjoy it. I've been doing that for over 30 years now, being affiliated with the medical field. But in my second part of my life, I feel like I have another assignment to do. And I believe that that's writing this book, getting speaking engagements, motivating, encouraging people, and also advocating for them. Because I feel like that that's really missing. I don't know of a lot of books that are like this one. I'm a very unique person,
Mhm.
and I'm happy about that.
Your book is it's a quick read. It's interesting. It covers very hard things. It doesn't drag you down at all. I think that you do a really good job of inputting the positivity along the way. Here's another example. You said, I had to start looking at my situation differently. Although I was robbed of over $100,000 and never received justice, many people will benefit from my experience. I've shared a few pieces of my life with you in this book, but there is much more. I've spent most of my life fighting just to stay alive, and you do share some of those fights as well. I'm still here because I stayed the course. I stress that without my faith, I have no idea where I would be today. I'm certain that I'm free for a reason. And you say free because you very well could have been sent to prison and did
Yes,
some jail time.
yes.
And that is to make an impact on other people's lives. I want people to know that they are not alone. They too can persevere if they never give up. That message is needed everywhere. Like there's no conference center or hall or classroom that couldn't use this example. But your book is very approachable. It's beautiful, and you've filled it with such amazing wisdom. And you do have pictures, which is fun. I love pictures. So we get to see you, where you are. This was during your family court
Yes. It
fights.
was very traumatic. I don't even look like that person. It was the trauma had taken a toll on me, but I refused to give up. I
Yeah.
couldn't.
My next question has to do with the title and the cover of your book. So I'd love to know how you came up with the title and the cover. And of course, the title is the title you give yourself, not just the book. So talk about Evelyn the Advocate. What does that mean? How are you using it? And give us some of that background.
I got that name because I picked that name, and I feel like God gave it to me
Hmm.
because one Sunday I was at church and we were talking about, I think, John the Advocate in the Bible,
Oh,
and I thought about that when I was before I started writing the book.
Evelyn the Advocate. I just think that is such a fitting description of you. Um, and I love it too. It's a very empowering phrase. And I love how it's the title of your book. It's the name of your YouTube channel. Your web address is evelyntheadvocate.org. It's a persona. It's very strong. Now let's talk about the cover that goes with that. Talk to me about this picture with you're in this gorgeous sequin gown and you've got these boxing gloves. I love the juxtaposition between you being, dressed so elegantly with gloves on. So,
Those photos actually come from a birthday photo shoot that I had.
do you remember what birthday it was? Like what year you're turning? And
I
you don't
know
have
it
to
was
share.
over 50. I'm over 50, but I really don't look like it. I don't look like what I've
Oh
been through.
my god. Yeah, that's so cool. So that was sort of your way of celebrating your birthday was to go and get some beautiful pictures. I
Yes,
love
that's how I celebrate my birthday annually.
Oh, really?
Most of the
Wow,
time, yes,
that is so neat.
for the
Well, you
last
do
4
have some
years.
beautiful pictures in your book. I suspect they must be birthday pictures then.
Most of them probably are.
Yeah. Oh,
But
I love
went to the studio. There's a photographer here in Rock Hill named Brian Sims. The name of his company is Shots by Brian.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I got onto Amazon. I was like, I'm gonna order some purple boxing gloves. So I ordered the gloves. They came in, and I took the gloves with me. And at first, I was kind of skeptical about pulling them out, but I was like, please don't judge me about these boxing gloves. And he was like, I won't judge you like that. And got me situated and started taking different angles, taking photos. And that's how we came up with it.
I love it.
That's a powerful picture. It's a powerful statement. And I'm
Mm.
looking up because I felt like domestic violence is invisible, but it's also visible at the same time.
I love that, and of course, purple is the color of domestic violence awareness, so, I'm sure that that
Yes,
was intentional. I love that it's representing the, fight that you have against basically what that color is representing,
yes.
domestic violence, but you are beautiful, you're so
Thank
glamorous.
you.
It's a visual representation of you overcoming that because I've seen other images to represent domestic violence where the the person might look beat up, you know. You might have could have, put bruises on just to kind of, but I love the representation that you're fighting back and you've got God, you're looking up, and we
Yes.
designed your cover, I know, as a part of picking the picture that we would use. And I loved this. I'm like, that's it. Like, of all the choices you sent me, it was obvious which one it needed to be. And then we worked the streaming light. There's some added depth to your cover just to kind of represent God's shining light on you, and you're becoming a light to others. I think that's such a powerful picture.
Not to be negative or anything, I have to pay a price for that light too, because some people are very negative. They can identify this positivity and God's light within me, and they attack that a lot of times. They don't even know me, really haven't even had a conversation with me, but I experienced a lot of attacks because of that. But I
I think
feel like I'm going to display it anyway, no matter how many people feel like they want to attack, because I know what it is.
that's such an important point that you're making. And as the role model that you are, as you step out to be able to say, hey, follow me, be an overcomer, but be prepared because the hits keep coming. And we just have to keep going right on through it. And
They
they
keep coming.
sure they don't sting as much because you know where they're coming from and why, so it's not personal. Sometimes we take things personal, and that's where we kind of have to let God come in us and know it's God they're attacking, and the light that He gives, and it's not personal, and it's not them either. I think that we're living in a very demonic society
We
because
really are.
when people have no compassion, and we're seeing this so often now.
But if someone wants to waste their time making up false allegations, trying to get people on their side, it's fine because I'm going to keep going.
And what in the world is the motivation?
Mental health issues, that is the motivation for people doing that. And they don't have anything else better to do. I have my book here.
Yeah,
Everybody is not going to be happy about this.
yeah, yeah. You're
There are
already
some
you're already
people.
facing some who want to complain about it, and you know
That's right. And can you please explain to the audience, Melanie, what a memoir is? Because some people don't really know what a memoir is.
Yes. A memoir is someone telling their first person story, their life experiences. And they have a right to do that. And to tell the truth according to what happened to them. And that is it's just one person's perspective, a memoir. It's not writing about somebody else. It's not projecting your feelings or your experiences into somebody else's life. It is completely 100% your life and what happened to you. And you are the only one that knows all the ins and outs and the closets. It's revealing your closets. A lot of times, memoirs are written for a purpose. To reveal the things that you've been through, things that may have been hidden. And of course, there's going to be those who are sometimes featured in a memoir, you know, and not in a positive light. And they can dislike that, but it's still your life and your experience. And so,
And
yeah.
this is very a memoir is very personal just
Mhm.
because the public did not know that all these things were occurring. That's the purpose of the memoir. You're telling your story.
Yeah. It's giving you a voice where you may have been silenced.
Yes,
And, you know, I'd like to touch on the fact that it's very, very healing. Now that's a that's kind of my cause. You know, I'm that's my advocacy, if you will. Is I really encourage people to process their traumas and their hardships through writing and sharing. And especially the thing is you have to share what you've been through in order to share your triumph. You have to share
yes,
tragedy. There has to be tragedy for there to be triumph. And so you're not going to have a triumph story. And of course, my company is Triumph Press because that's what I want to share with people's triumphs. And so there has to be that dark part of the story for
it
the light
has
to
to
be
be.
fully seen and appreciated as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I wrote everything down, I just felt healing like I had never experienced it before
Mhm.
because
Right.
I carried a lot of secrets with me for a
Yes.
very long time. And I'm being sarcastic when I say this. The South Carolina courts, I believe that they thought that the court system thought that it could intimidate me, but it only empowered me when they forced me to tell the truth about my traumas.
Yes. Wow. That is so profound and true. You know what is meant for bad, God definitely uses for good. And I'm glad we're touching on this topic about what is a memoir and how important and how healing it is. And so that actually leads me to the last question that I have to ask you, and that is, what advice do you have for aspiring authors, someone who maybe has a story they've been afraid to tell, they haven't felt like they could. Um, what encouragement do you have to give, and then just any advice you have at all from writing your story to possibly publishing it like you have?
I would encourage someone if they have a story to tell, sometimes you got to go back in time and sometimes there may be a lot of layers that you may have to remove.
Mm.
I'm in hopes that you would do that because someone needs to hear what you have to say. I can almost guarantee you someone may be going through that very thing that you're reluctant to write about.
You really do set that example. And, you know, like you said at the start of your book in that preface that I read, that, you know, it's not something that you typically did naturally to open up, but you just knew that it needed to be done. Um,
I knew that it needed to be done, and that's why I was willing to tell it all. And that's we didn't talk about being a pro se litigant, but I had to become a pro se litigant
mhm.
in order to tell my truth. I
As
represented myself in
Mhm.
family court. It was hidden when I allowed lawyers to represent me. The truth would have never gotten out.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because sometimes the storytelling is in that environment, you know, before they get to this platform. Are very serious about your advocacy, and I know that you recently were awarded a um, honor honorary doctorate degree. I'd love you to share that journey and what that means, and what you plan to do with it.
I met this individual by the name of Faith Franks, and she noticed the advocacy that I was doing online because I've been featured in magazines, I've been
Mm,
interviewed by newspapers. I'm looking to go on a bigger platform one day, but she
yeah,
noticed all the community service and the work that I was doing in the community, and she recommended me to receive this honorary doctorate degree. And legally, I can carry the title doctor because I put in the work to make a difference in society. International School of Champions Theological Professional Institute. I would
wow.
like to thank them for the opportunity that they're giving individuals like me. Because God has given me this honorary doctorate degree,
Yes.
I'm going to ask Him to direct me into what I need to do to reach the people. Unfortunately, I'm not a big title person, but society is kind of based on titles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's definitely empowering, and I love that they're looking for and recognizing people who are really making a difference and bringing you this title that gives you the ability to kind of, in some cases, kick down the doors that need to be
yes,
kicked down because you are now a doctorate and mm, be able to step out and be taken as seriously as you should be.
I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. And people that don't approve that this happening to me, it's not up to them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really affecting them very badly because they know that the truth is going to be more widespread
Yes. Yes.
with the
And
honorary doctorate
yeah. And
degree.
the higher you go on that platform, the more darts that start flying at your
Yeah,
target. But I know that that's just part of this world, and a world that would allow what happened to you and that
yes,
happened to countless others is a world
yes.
that we have to take those risks. And you are so courageous and brave, and I just commend you. And like I said, you are a light, and you are just so much positivity that it's anybody who gets to spend any time at all with you is going to want to become a part of your movement. I know that I do, and I'm so grateful that I got to publish your book and interview
Thank
you and
you.
be a part of getting the word out about all that you have to teach and the changes that need to be made, and just shining a light into the corruption that is family court, not just in your state, but across the nation and
Yes,
quite honestly the world. I know that it's just it's
it's
probably one of
all
the
over.
it's been a silent
Silent darkness, a silent dark shadow for many, many years.
that tortures the parents, it tortures the children.
It does.
It's just horrific. It's absolutely horrific. It's a nightmare. And stories like yours just show what's really happening. And I really am looking forward to seeing that light kind of make the roaches scatter. Let's see if we can't make some changes. And so, thank you so much for coming on my show and sharing your
Thank you
wisdom and your
so much.
story. I'm going to encourage everybody who's watching to get your book. It's not expensive. It's well worth it. It is definitely easy to read. It is empowering to you to as a reader to read this story
Yes.
and to go to your YouTube channel. I know you have a lot more you'll be sharing there and people you'll be interviewing. So
I'm honored, and you're also a great person. And as I said in the beginning, I'm so grateful that we have crossed paths.
I am
I can't
too.
wait to meet you in person.
I know we need to make that happen for sure. Yeah,
We do.
let's go do some relaxation together. What do you say?
Yes,
That's
because
what
I
we
was in a fight for a long time. I'm ready to relax
let's
now.
go. Let's go sit on a beach or up in a cabin and just kind of have a
Yes.
you know just a little time to breathe and meditate together. I think it'd be great.
And I want everybody out there to know that this is a team effort. There's been enough division in the world. That's what's destroying all of us. It's a team effort. It took a
Indeed.
lot of people to make this happen. I couldn't make this happen by myself. There were other people that helped me to get the story out, and I'm grateful for them also.
Yeah, that's really true. That is really true, and it's important. You got to find your team, and sometimes it's hard to find the right players. I know we
Yes.
learned, that too, but they
Yep.
come. But God provides for sure.